Hey guys, it's Andy here, and we're back looking at decks in Standard. This is a mono red burn deck that I've put together for you guys. It's nothing new. Mono red's been a thing that's been pretty dominant in the format for a while now, but with a whole lot of the new toys that have come out with Ravnica Allegiance, a lot of people are doing mono red decks now. It's not going to go away. The decks are even better, I feel, with the new toys that have come out. So I'm just going to touch on the main board here, talk about the sideboard and interactions between, and hopefully you guys enjoy the video. We're going to start off the lineup with a 4 of Light Up the Stage, which is a new spectacle card from Ravnica Allegiance. It's a 3 cost, so for 2 and a red. At Sorcery Speed, you can exile the top 2 cards of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. Spectacle 1 red. So you can play this card for its spectacle cost, rather than its mana cost, if an opponent lost life this turn. Or in a mono red burn deck, it's going to happen a lot. So more often than not, this is going to be a 1 cost card. So for 1, exile the top 2. Basically putting cards into our hand. It's basically a faithless looting, with the downside being if you don't play those cards, they disappear. But the card is just insane card advantage. We're also running a 4 of Viashino Pyromancer, which is for 2, a 2/1 Viashino Wizard. When it enters the battlefield, you do 2 damage to target player or planeswalker. Want to be running a few wizards in this deck because we're running Wizards Lightnings also. So the wizard synergy is really good, but being able to ping damage to either a player or a planeswalker can often be quite relevant. A 4 of Runaway Steamkin. This card's an all-star in the deck. It's at 2 costs, so 1 and a red. It's a 1/1 elemental. Whenever you cast a red spell, if Runaway Steamkin has fewer than 3/+1 counters on it, you put a +1 counter on it. Remove 3/+1 counters to add a 3 red. So this allows us to just keep playing spells and then remove counters and keep playing more spells. Ditto Lava Runner in a 4 of. It's another wizard in the deck. It's at 1 red, a 1/2 human wizard. And as long as there are 2 or more instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard, it gets +1/+0 and has haste. A 3 of Experimental Frenzy. Experimental Frenzy is an insanely good card, and it's certainly not going to change anytime soon. Experimental Frenzy is for 4, 3 and a red. It's an enchantment, sits on the battlefield, and then you may look at the top card of your library. You may play the top card of your library. You can't play cards from your hand, and 4, 3 and a red, destroy Experimental Frenzy. So how the whole deck kind of synergizes is you're just playing cards off Experimental, so cards off the top of the deck, while Steamkin's out, building up counters on Steamkin, removing counters, and playing more stuff. A couple of copies of Risk Factor in the main board here. It's for 3, 2 and a red at instant speed. Target opponent may have Risk Factor deal 4 damage to them. If that player doesn't, you draw 3 cards, jumpstart. So you can add it as an additional cost to play it from your graveyard. You can discard a card to do it. Awesome bit of card draw in the deck. 4 damage at a 3 cost isn't bad either, but being able to, in the late game, do this a couple of times in a turn, just adding to this card advantage engine that we're got going in this deck. Another one of the toys that we had from Ravnica Allegiance come out is Skewer the Critics, which is for 3, it's 2 and a red. Spectacle 1, deal 3 damage to any target. So if our opponent has been dealt damage or lost life this turn, it's a lightning bolt at sorcery speed. Wizards have said numerous times they will not reprint lightning bolt in standard, and then they go and print stuff like Skewer the Critics and stuff like Wizards Lightning, which at a 3 cost, cost 2 less if you control a wizard, 3 damage to any target. Both of these are 1 cost, deal 3. It's just dumb. I don't know why they do this stuff in standard. It's just too good. A bit more on the fair side of Magic, we're running a 4 of Lightning Strike, which is for 2, 1 and a red. At instant speed, you deal 3 damage to any target. Being able to play 1 cost, deal 3 off the top when we're running Experimental with a Runaway Steamkin out, crazy amounts of damage in this deck. A lot of the times, your opponent just isn't going to have time to react. The deck doesn't slow down. It doesn't lose out on tempo at all. It just keeps playing the stuff, and more often than not, you're just dealing damage to their face. Through playtesting, it's just been insanely strong. A little bit of creature-specific removal in the form of Lava Coil, which is for 2, 1 and a red. At sorcery speed, you deal 4 damage to target creature. If that creature would die this turn, exile it instead. 4 damage kills most of the things in the format at the moment, and being able to exile them gets around stuff like Rekindling Phoenix, and it's just a sensationally good card. A 4 of Shock, just for the instant speed damage. So for 1 red, at instant speed, you deal 2 damage to any target. Touching on the land base here, 19 mountains. That's it. That's all we need. Looking at the sideboard real quick. For the token matchups, or anything that calls for it, we're running Goblin Chainwheelers in the sideboard here. At 3 red, it's a 3/3 Goblin Warrior with First Strike. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each opponent and each creature and planeswalker they control. You'll find a lot of people will be running Goblin Chainwheeler in the main board, and I don't mind it. It's a great card. But I found that it slowed the deck down when what we're trying to do is play cards stupid cheap off the top with the Experimental Frenzy. So if the Runaway Steamkin kind of comboing is the way that we want the deck to go, the Goblin Chainwhirler kind of slows that plan down a little bit too much, and I wasn't really happy with how it was performing while I had the Chainwhirler in the main board. Moved it to the sideboard, and then added in stuff like Light Up the Stage and all of these things that can be played for one, and suddenly the deck just seemed to be like 1-2 steps faster than it was. So it's improved in the meta that I play in a whole lot more, but yeah, personal preference as to whether or not you want it in the main board or the sideboard, but it's just a great card. For the control matchups, we're running a 3 of Banefire, which is for X and 1 red. At sorcery speed, you deal X damage to any target. If X is 5 or more, can't be countered, and the damage can't be prevented. Just an awesome amount of damage in the control matchups. 2 of Sorcerers Spyglass for the Planeswalker matchups. So at a 2 cost, it's an artifact sits on the battlefield. When it enters the battlefield, you look at target opponent's hand and choose any card name. Activated abilities of sources of the chosen name can't be activated unless they're mana abilities. So Planeswalkers can't activate their abilities, and it's basically what it's in the sideboard for. The 4th copy of Experimental Frenzy is in here. Another couple of copies of Risk Factor is in here. I've got 2 copies of Fight with Fire, which is for 3, 2, and a red. At sorcery speed, Fight with Fire deals 5 damage to target creature. It's got Kicker 6, so for 5 and a red. If it was kicked, it deals 10 damage divided as you choose among any number of targets instead. This is a pretty good card in the right matchups. This can be a really useful piece. Being able to ramp into it and deal 10 damage divided as you choose can be great, often like a board wipe. You might want to throw in, depending on your meta, Fiery Cannonades could be good instead of this, but also dealing 5 damage to a creature when you're going up against stuff like Lyra Dawnbringers or stuff like that. Fight with Fire can be really, really important. And just to finish off the sideboard, we have a single mountain. Now the mountain's in there. If we are going to put in the Experimental Frenzy, I suggest that you find room to put the extra mountain in, just so that it doesn't blow out on your curve. It should work pretty okay anyway. There is a shitload of really dirt cheap stuff in here. More often than not, we're playing stuff for 1 cost, 2 cost, maybe. Risk Factor is obviously something that doesn't get any cheaper, but yeah, with the exception of the Experimentals, everything's pretty dirt cheap. And that is my newest version of Mono Red in Standard.
Thanks for watching, guys. As always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to see new videos as they were released. If you like what I do and you want to support the channel, you can throw me $1 on my Patreon at patreon.com/ZandersQuest. And I will see you guys in the next video. Keep questing, guys.